I know where there's some, right here in the hall, clerk.
No, Molly, not in there. I have
This bundle of wires, a couple of them from the motor, go up under this sprocket and up through that hole into the case of this plastic box, which has the selector for the record size and the record keeper and the auto manual off switch. So I'm going to see if I can, there's a Phillips head screw right here and another on the other side and a couple of Phillipses here. I don't see how that is attached, but these two might just hold this. It's spring loaded. Oh yeah, and here are the screws. Screw here and screw here that go up into this. So I don't know whether I ought to take the chain off first so I can free this sprocket. However you do that. Or not. I'm going to stop and read some instructions. See if it says how to do all this stuff. So I don't have to try to figure it out. Well, after looking this over, I think I want to take this sprocket off. And there's a, if you'll notice right here on the sprocket is an arrow. And there's an arrow on the body right here. I don't know if it's visible or not. If it isn't, you'll have to trust me. Arrow there, arrow there. And what that indicates is that this sprocket and the big sprocket, the timing sprocket, have to be synchronized. So to take the sprocket off, to have to take the chain off, I have to loosen this tightening sprocket here. So we'll do that, then you simply pry apart a couple of links and then unweave the chain from the thing. And then I can see about removing this. You have to remember too, and if you do this, you have to remember too that each link wraps around the previous or next link like that. So you spring them back this way, but these all have to face outward when you reassemble it. Reassemble the chain. Now which one was it prying on?
Oh, I said, when this first landed on the table, I thought those were bronze. But give it a sit there. Oh, that's you. That they're copper-plated steel. Absolutely. Copper-plated steel. So they had a copper thing going on here. This is copper-plated. The chain is copper-plated. Some of the gold trim on this plastic box, but copper was important apparently. Anyway, let's get the chain off. Get the chain off and try to remember how it goes. And then get it into a bucket of degreaser of some kind. It's as grimy as everything else in here. Take off the clutch. Assembly. The two idlers right here. It's amazing how stiff everything is from really ancient grease. Well, not that grease, yeah. Okay. There it is. I'll find a container to put that in. So.
Okay, the chain is soaking, and we'll get back to the sprocket I think in a previous video I called these gears, and I was reading the official literature for this, and they call them sprockets. And I was trying to figure out what's the difference between a sprocket and a gear, and decided that a sprocket must be driven by chains. Gears must be driven by other gears. I don't know. Don't know.
So now let me get a Q-tip and some alcohol. Sorry, cotton swab and some alcohol. Q-tip being a brand name, I'm sure. And see what's holding this sprocket on the shaft. So dried up grease, it looks like. I was thinking there should be a Allen screw going through and binding this to the shaft, but guess what? I'm not seeing one. I am seeing a pin. I don't have to drive a pin out of there. Shoot. That's too bad. Let's see on the short tree here. Oh, I'm going to need some better degreaser than just plain old alcohol for this. This is a mess. It's almost like varnish. Probably is varnish at this point.
Okay. Let me get the camera on hold here for a sec. Here's the sprocket in question. And there appears to me to be a pin right there. And just opposite that, the other end of the pin, right there. I don't particularly want to have to try to drift that out of there. So what I might do instead first is I'll release these cable restraints here, and there's probably another one right there. And then there are two screws, one here and one over here, that apparently hold this plastic bit on. So I'll take the cable restraints loose and then loosen those two screws and see if that will let me get this off without removing that sprocket, because I don't want to. Let's see. No, that came loose really easily. As did that one. Oh, rats. Ah, that's what I was afraid of. There's a third one right there. Absolutely impossible to get to. Right under there. Shoot. There's one here too. That's a substantially different kind of screw. Maybe that's... I'm going to take these off and turn it over and see if this will accidentally come loose. There's a fourth one. Oh, results of some kind. Yeah, it's loose. Okay. This is what covered up the, this is the mechanism that lets the record size be changed. So neat. We're making progress. Alright, let me get my feet back on the other side and stand this up and see if I can figure out how to get that knob off. Okay. We've successfully removed this cover. We've loosened all the plastic bits. The only thing that's remaining is this switch lever right here, which might be a pressure fit just down onto a shaft. So I'll see if I can apply a little reverse pressure and see if it wants to come loose. I always get nervous about this stuff because I don't want to break anything. Ta-da! So it is a pressure fit. Excellent. Now this should lift off there. Oh, I need to remove the 2 screws for the auto manual off switch here. And there it is. Very nice. And this is just spring actuated. So the screws just hold that, they're axles in essence, and hold that in place. It doesn't look like I'll even have to take it off to clean it up. So all good. Very good. Okay, this switch is the one that determines whether it's off, the turntable is off, whether it's on manual or whether it's on automatic. On a manual, the spindle here, you move this. You can see the spindle is offset. That's for records to stack on that edge and over here. And then to just play it manually, you just rotate right back around and drop a platter on there and move the arm manually, take it off manually. But if you're going to play a series of records, switch that over, switch this to automatic, and hit the reject button on the front panel, and that starts loading discs, and it will continue to load discs automatically until the very last one is loaded, and then it'll continue to play the last one over and over again. Is the idea. Okay, this I think will stay intact. This is going to need, I'm not sure of the mechanism yet to there are 2 plates there. The lower one just holds the records up. This one is the one that rejects the record. This is the one that pushes the record off the stack and off this lip so that it falls down and plays. And I can't tell if it works yet. Accidentally discovered how this ejector, this thing that pushes the records down onto the platter, works. The big sprocket that's right here that I was pointing out the synchronizing arrows on actuates a cam that's in here. So it's really pretty simple. It just reaches over and pushes the record off the stack, the bottom one, and then for The next one does the same thing. It's pretty straightforward. Of course. For the 12-inch bladder, it goes that way, and the same, you get the same bumping action right there. The record rests here. This pushes the bottom one off the stack and down. I just noticed I do have a cosmetic issue right here. There's some rusting going on right there and there. A little bit over here too. I expect that's a brass plate. Plated on steel. Okay, this isn't actually screwed down at all. It was just sitting there. It has a couple of locating pins, one here and one over here. So it came loose pretty easily. Yeah, so it's steel with a gold-colored plating. I'll have to see how deeply pitted it is with the rust, and whether I can polish this up or not. I don't know. Polish might take the coating off. I guess some spray gold paint would work. But it sure looks like brass along here. So maybe some brass. We'll find out. We'll try. Okay, regarding the tone arm mount, this is the rod, the push rod that lifts the tone arm up in preparation for it to be rotated and drop back down to the record. And there's a heavy spring right here. You pull that back and that whole assembly comes out. And the spring, I think the purpose of the spring is to just resist, yeah, so that's the spring return. The sprocket under here lifts it as it turns. Let's see if I can get that to turn. No, not easily. Anyway, the sprocket underneath lifts it, and the spring makes sure it goes back into place. Interesting. There's a nut right here that allows the height to be adjusted, so you can set its lowest point and its highest point with that nut. Unfortunately, the screws that hold this stand in place are under this sprocket, so I'm not going to be able to remove that until I get this stuff off. So at this point, the only thing left that I want to remove is this, and just I'm going to get this off, then I'm going to clean this whole surface. Then I can turn it over and not worry about it on this side anymore. So that's what I'm going to do next. It's a felt pad, probably supposed to, well, that's where it drifts on. An interesting thing is this plate is threaded. Oh, I see. So you can adjust it, how loose it is on there, and then lock it in place with this little nut that came off. I see. All right. And the spring is captured, so it probably won't get away from me. Okay. We're good there.
It's hard to wipe across here because there's so many little screw heads coming up from the mechanism underneath. It's nice with paper towel. But it looks a lot better already.
Well, it's an interesting finish. It's kind of faux hammered, pinkish purple. Pretty modern for the day. There's a stain of some kind around here that I can't, it doesn't come off readily. I don't know what would cause it. Similarly, a stain here, oops, sorry, around this rivet. And then there's the usual yellowing that I suspect is nicotine stains on the motor mount and capstan. But a little more cleaning and that will be this side. And that will be it for this video. See you next time.